Hi, today we're on location in North Bristol here at Bristol Caravans. We're talking habitation checks. What is one and why should you bother having one? Well, if your motorhome, of course, is under manufacturer warranty, you have to have one every year to keep that warranty running. But what if you've bought a motorhome, campervan or caravan that's out of manufacturer warranty? Should you have one? I caught up with Oakleigh, my good friend who owns Bristol Caravans, to talk habitation checks. So Oakleigh, good morning. How are you on this cold day?
It's chilly, but I'm good. It's all good, thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting us up. So we're talking habitation checks.
Yes.
But firstly, just tell us a little bit of background on Bristol Caravans.
Okay, so we're an independent workshop, which you'll see as you're walking around today. 2012 we started, so 11 years this year. We are approved for nearly all of the brands and the appliances that are fitted inside motorhomes and caravans. We're also, we come under the umbrella of AWS, the Approved Workshop Scheme, and we're also members of the MCA, the Mobile Engineers Network. Identifying a good workshop or mobile, I'd really recommend going to somebody that's had that training that comes under those umbrellas. AWS has an audit scheme, so they're double checking you all the time, so you'd be more reassured to be somebody underneath an association.
And by being part of either the AWS, the Approved Workshop Scheme, or which is run by the NCC, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a tripartite operation, so it's run by the NCC, National Caravan Council, the Caravan and Motorhome Club, and the Camping and Caravan Club. So they got together, they recognised that the quality of engineers and workshops was variable across the country, so they got together to develop a scheme where they could say this is the standard, and that's the sort of the benchmark. Personally, I use that as a start point, and then hopefully we can talk about how we go beyond that. So what does great look like?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about, and that's been the theme of our conversation as we planned today of going good to great. I'm a big advocate of having a habitation check done on your leisure vehicle every year, and Oakleigh's going to tell us why and show us some examples of why that should be the case and that's what you should consider.
Yeah.
But just going back to the trade associations, by being part of AWS means that you can do habitation checks for vehicles that are main dealer, main manufacturer built vehicles, can't you? Their warranty is the key.
Yes, so AWS has got together with vehicle manufacturers, mainly in the UK, but there's some that are overseas. They have agreed with those manufacturers that if the vehicle is serviced by an approved workshop, AWS approved workshop, then it will not invalidate their warranty while it's in warranty. And there's various guidelines that we need to go through to achieve that, but as long as the vehicle is within warranty or out of warranty, we can do the service without causing any problems to their warranty.
Which for the owner means if they live 100 miles from the main dealer, but a few miles from you, they can go to their local AWS and get warranty approved work done.
They can have the servicing done. We don't do the warranty unless the supplying dealer has approved us or the brand. So for example, Bailey, the brand, has approved us to do their particular work. We're approved by Adria, so we can do warranty work for Adria.
We were talking then about going from good to great. So a good starting point is being part of an approved scheme. I know that you're passionate, like me, about great. What does great look like?
Great looks like we can drill into the detail of all of the areas of the AWS habitation service. This is your holiday home. This is your home on wheels. And then you're going to take it down the motorway or down a bumpy old track and it's going to rattle around. So you've got all that movement of all those things inside. So how do you know everything is still good and working correctly? If we're thinking about gas, gas can go bang and CO can kill people. If we're thinking about mains electric, you can get a shock. So it's really important that all of those safety critical elements are checked, as well as does the furniture work correctly? The other issue, a high-level discussion in this industry, is water ingress. Making sure that all of your water seals are correct, everything's working correctly, and having that damp report so that you know that it's dry inside.
But it's all about having the right tools, isn't it? Now, let's go and have a look at some of the tools you use to do a habitation check. I know there are people out there that have bought a damp meter for a few pounds and they go off to buy a motorhome used that's a private sale and wave this damp meter around and therefore decide, yeah, it's dry, I'm good, I'll buy it, and potentially save quite a lot of money from buying it from a dealer. That may be the case. Potentially they're actually buying something that could cost thousands to put right. Let's have a look at some of your tools, can we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bristol Caravans have a fantastic offer for you, the Motorhome Map podcast subscriber. If you book your caravan or motorhome in for a service or a habitation check with Bristol Caravans, you will get a free maintenance wash, a wash of the outside of your pride and joy. This is normally worth £95. When you book, just quote Motorhome Mat offer and get your free service wash. So show us your damp meter.
Whee! Boys and toys and tools, isn't it? Protometer is the brand that we generally use in this industry. It's expensive. It's eye-wateringly expensive. When I started out in 2012, it was dig deep and do I really need this kit? Well, this is the one that I bought 11 years ago, and it still works now. We can still switch it on, and I can put my finger across the probes, and you can see that my water content is about 20-25%.
Good and healthy.
I'm okay.
These are now hundreds of pounds to buy, aren't they?
Yes. So back in the day, this was probably a couple of £100. It only had the functionality of the two prongs, and the two prongs would then give us a reading. Anything over 15%, so it's a percentage reading, 0 to 100. Anything over 15%, we're going to be thinking about, what's causing this, what's the issue.
Further investigation.
Exactly.
The key with these is the accuracy, though, isn't it? And the percentage of water ingress that's present, unlike the ones that are really designed for plasterboard, where it just says, yeah, it's damp.
This is coming from the same surveying industry, but this is something that we have adopted in this sector. So we now move on to modern day terms. We're now moving right up in price. We're probably about £600 now for a metre. You'll see there's got a lump on the back of this one. This is so that we can, without the prongs, we can use a non-invasive approach to scanning the walls, the floor, the roof, to see if there's any moisture that it's going to pick up. And it's looking for a difference, anomalies really. And when you get a spike reading in a particular area, that can be caused by a number of things. It could be caused by a metal plate that sits behind. So that's where it becomes experience, knowledge, product knowledge become really critical to know what you're looking at. And then we go back to our traditional points. So we're not going to cover the vehicle with holes. We get a reading quite easily with me just touching it. So it is quite a gentle process, even though the prongs look very, very officious.
Good tip, isn't it? If you're buying a motorhome second hand and all round the windows there's lots of pairs of holes, that's usually a sign it's had a damp check, possibly lots of damp checks, with a pronged meter rather than an ultrasonic one, which potentially is a good sign, isn't it? There's a service history.
Yes, there is a service history. You should also be looking at, first level is, have you got stickers on there showing the dates of the services? But definitely you should be asking the seller for the service history, so you've got all of that to hand as well.
So what would you say to someone looking at buying a £10 damp meter from Aldi?
Probably a bit like a computer, rubbish in, rubbish out. You need quality equipment if you're going to do a quality job. Are you going to rely on a £5-10 damp meter for that? We have customers who come in and they think everything's okay. It's a very difficult conversation. You complete a damp report. You can't smell damp in the early stages.
No.
So you complete the damp report. You find damp. The customer has bought the vehicle in good faith, thinking, "Oh, this is good. I did the right thing. I maybe bought a cheap damp meter." It's thousands of pounds.
The big issue, though, is knowing where to look, isn't it? That's the key. And there are certain brands of motorhomes, as you and I both know, will drive into your workshop and you'll go, gosh, I'm going to be looking for the dry bits. And there are other vehicles that are 10, 15 years old, and you think, well, I'd be hard-pressed to find any damp in this. That's certainly been my experience. What's your experience?
I think you're right. There are a variety of vehicles are out there. Some are more prone to water ingress than others, but it's all repairable. So the key to this conversation is have a damp check which is part of your habitation service, every year. If you can catch water ingress early, it could be a few £100 to repair something, replace a sill. If you catch it late, it's thousands of pounds. It is such a big difference in price point. It's have the service done regularly and then take action on what the findings are.
Carbon monoxide. Now we've talked about this a lot on the podcast and on video in the past. You've got an interesting tool here, which is your sniffer.
When I came into this industry in 2012, I asked people what is the test for a gas flame burning correctly? How do we know something's burning correctly? And the reaction I got from the industry at that stage was, well, is the flame blue? Well, my blue is going to be different to your blue. So which of us is correct? You know, is yours burning correctly? So I turned the question around and I asked people that I was engaging with in the industry, and I said, well, okay, that's what this industry does. What about a care home? How do they know that the appliances are burning correctly? What would you do in a children's nursery? We're talking about the same type of situation. We're burning a carbon fuel and we want to know, is it burning cleanly? I looked at those industries and they were using the sniffer, as you kindly called it. In this case, we've got a Kane meter, and we can then use this, take a sample of the gas from the flue. So the flue is like the chimney on your fireplace.
Yeah.
And then that sample will allow us to say, okay, how is this appliance burning? It's a bit more scientific than what colour is the flame. And in some modern appliances, you can't see the flame. So how can you even do that test? If you're booking a service, maybe a good question is, how are you going to test my carbon monoxide, carbon CO readings on my appliances, and see what the answer is. If they talk about the colour of the flame is blue, I suggest thank them kindly and go and find somebody who's invested in equipment and can give you a printout. This is what your appliance is burning at this particular stage.
But that is the industry requirement, isn't it? Is the flame blue?
We're talking about grate, and this is the level that we're at.
Yes.
We look to replace a view that is not scientific with something that is a bit more black and white. I think it's better to say we see service sheets from other people in the industry when the vehicles come in for a service with us. Not all of them would have a Kane meter reading that has got a CO report with it. This is our standard, and which I think is great.
I do too. I think that's fantastic. I think that's a great innovation. So you've got a little tablet here as well. You talk about recording and looking at the service history. How do you record all this data that you're capturing, both on damp, on your Kane meter? And I know there's other tests that you do as well, particularly on the electrical side, which we'll look at in a minute.
Yeah.
But show us how you record all this.
Each of the technicians will have a pad that they'll have with them. It's like an iPad, but a bit smaller, that they'll have in the workshop. They record the findings as they go, so we've got it electronically. That is then stored in the cloud. We can then send that to the customer electronically, rather than historically it used to be a clipboard and a pen and a tick pad. But if we're looking at great, what's the future? Our customer demographic is changing. If we still do have customers that were part of the baby boomer group, and maybe they use Facebook but they don't use so many other things, their expectation is much greater. So if you think, when did a motorhome become acceptable to buy for over £100,000? Well, what other things are people spending £100,000 on? It might be a Ferrari, a top-end Audi, it could be school fees, it could be a second home, a property. How are other industries engaging with those customer groups? Because that's what our customers are thinking about. They're not thinking about comparing me with another engineer. They're thinking about comparing Bristol Caravans with other service providers. So I think great looks like the best that's out there. So by putting all of the service details onto an electronic platform and then having that in the cloud, the customer needs something, we can email it to them. If we find a problem during the habitation service, we can video it with the tablet. We can then send the video to the customer. We can explain what we've found, and the pictures just bring it to life. The feedback is tremendous. I mean, Customers generally give us feedback through Google Maps, and it's great. It's great to see, and I can get a camera on a tablet into a small inside cupboard that you can't get your head into, and you can take a video of something that you can then demonstrate to the customer, this is what's happened. Someone's put a screw through a mains cable, and the customer will say, oh yes, I remember putting that little accessory in. Well, it's gone through a mains cable, and potentially that could be very dangerous. There's all sorts of things that come up. To be able to capture a video of it and then send it to the customer, and this is what we found, without the customer having to come back, see something, go again, it's very powerful.
Now, ultimately, it all ends up on paper.
It does.
And there is you get the usual paperwork certificates that go in the service pack.
Yes.
And then when you sell the vehicle, that's the evidence of the history, isn't it? Have you got your service sheets here that we can look at?
I'll grab that.
Brilliant.
Okay, so to run through the Habitation paperwork, and this is what I believe great looks like, so it might not be what you're seeing every day. First of all, you have the painful part, which unfortunately is the invoice. But the key to this is everything is separated out. And when the guys are working on a job here, we tend to say we separate a comment a customer makes into a labour line. So customer reports or issue is, and then instruction technician, investigate this, and then findings or actions. So for everything we're doing, we're looking for a process where we're saying, what's the problem? What have we done? What's the findings? If that makes sense. So nice and clear. We talked about the tablet earlier. So the tablet then goes on to the checklist. In this case, it's an AWS checklist, so it's pre-organised or it's pre-set questions by AWS. We can add to it, but we can't take away, so we add more to it. The tablet enables us to run a traffic light system. Green, good. Amber, advisory. Red could be something we really need to talk about. And then that gets recorded and saved, and if there's any notes to go with that, the notes are then attached to that particular labour line or checkpoint as well. As we go through all of the sections, there's an electrical section, an LPG section, there's bodywork, ventilation, fire. Now this looks quite simplistic. It's just colours and it's just a tick box. So what sits behind this is more interesting to me and is reassurance to the customer. The customer gets this, but there's more that sits behind it. Everything that the guys do, they also fill out internal sheets as well. So we're recording specific readings. So when you're checking to say, does my mains battery charger work okay, then there'll be an amps draw. And I want to make sure that that charger is drawing the right amount of amps. And then also if the customer's got a problem a month's time, we know where it was today. So we're recording absolute detail. Now that detail gets converted into a green tick box, if you like, but this is what sits behind it. We record the numbers when we're doing a gas check, so the different pressures when we're doing various tests, and this reassures me, so I can see that every job is slightly different, and we're recording things as we go. And I also know by looking at it that the gas system is within specification. We talked about the sniffer earlier, which is the flue analyzer. We produce the printouts, which gets attached to a sheet, and then that goes to the customer. And then also we do a printout from a battery tester when we're testing batteries, so the customer knows exactly what the situation is with the battery as well. So again, we're trying to apply a scientific approach to every test that we do, so that we and the customer knows exactly what the situation is with any particular appliance or elements of the vehicle. We mentioned damp reports and the damp meter earlier, so this is what I think a great damp report looks like. We're getting clear numbers where we've got furniture, the furniture is shaded out, and it's at regular intervals. The latest AWS guidelines are it needs to be checked every 300 millimetres, so we're checking regularly. we're actually probably checking more than that distance. We can't get that many numbers in, so we're putting numbers in relevant places to represent that.
Now the numbers, this is key, isn't it? These are percentages.
Yes.
We were talking about why a damp meter is so expensive, and it's all about the accuracy, isn't it? The difference between 8% and 15% is actually not very much.
Correct.
But tripping over that 15% means there's potentially a problem that needs investigation. Over 20, there's something wrong. So these numbers are percentages of damp.
They are, yes. It's the water percentage in that particular piece of material. So, in this particular instance, we're looking at a ceiling with 8s and 9s in it. That is dry. That's great. That's what you want to see. Our highest here is 12 by the looks of things. Great example of a dry vehicle. And we're also recording what the weather conditions were like. So it was a dry day, and the ambient temperature, which was 12.6. We've got who the customer was and who the technician was and the date. So we're being as specific and as accurate as possible. If you get this right, and you know every year that you've got a dry vehicle, it's real peace of mind.
And actually, you mentioned the weather there. That's a factor, isn't it? It does cause the figures to change. On a really, really hot, dry day, your motorhome will read lower than, today it's, just above freezing today.
It's a bit chilly.
And, your workshop is heated. And that means you're able to get up to 12 degrees while the check's being done. So that has an impact on the figures, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be doing the damp report at the end of the service, because we want the vehicle inside. We're a heated workshop. We want it inside. We'll have the windows open. We'll be moving air through that vehicle just by getting in and out and doing different checks that we're doing. So come to the end of that service, 4 or 5 hours of being in the workshop, then that vehicle is in a position ready for, let's do the damp tests. Because we don't want to be testing for condensation. No. Condensation is, imagine your last trip out, it was a slightly rainy day because you live in the UK. You've shut the vehicle up, you've put it into storage. A month later, you've brought it out of storage and you've brought it straight to us. Well, all of that warm, moist air has been condensing on the outside walls of the vehicle. So we don't want that to affect our results. So we want it to be relatively warm and dry inside,
Yeah, and the key here is where you're checking for damp. It is everywhere. The floor, the roof, the overcab where you can. On this particular motorhome, it has an overcab bed. All around the walls, around every window, everywhere you possibly can. And as you say, every 300 mil. That's that's a very thorough check, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely. This is critical for us and for the customer. If we get this wrong, then it's thousands of pounds. You can't stress it enough. It breaks your heart if it's their pride and joy.
But it's worth noting, though, a habitation check is only a moment in time, isn't it? I mean, at that moment you do the check, the appliances are performing at the way you report them.
Yep.
But when they go wrong, they go wrong. And, it's almost a case of, well, a habitation check once a year is not often enough, is it?
Some people do go years without having them. They usually come in because there's a problem at that stage.
Well, that's right, yeah.
And the problem, instead of costing £50 or £100 or a couple of £100 if it's a damp issue, we're suddenly into thousands of pounds.
That's right.
And we can't get the parts.
I know for us in our hire business that each motorhome will undergo probably 11 or 12 habitation checks a year. And, certainly appliance testing, maybe not damp, but certainly appliance testing and safety checking the electrics. And it's just crucial because, that one family, it's their one holiday. It needs to be safe when it goes out the door. And that's interesting that that's an industry that's not regulated at all. You could run a hire fleet and not have a habitation check for 5 years, but that's a whole nother podcast.
I was going to say that's commercial versus the consumer using it for their own leisure purposes.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad and heartened to hear that you're doing it after every hire, because if I was going to hire from you, I'd be expecting that. I'd really want it to be. I'd want to be able to get in and know that it's all good. And I wonder, does every hire company do that? Does every person that maybe hires themselves do that?
I guarantee you they don't, Oakleigh.
No, interesting.
It's a bugbear of mine. Anyway, so let's talk electrics.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
there's a new test. Is it new?
It's not new, and I love your hesitation. It's not new, but hey, this industry doesn't talk about it, so
No.
therefore it feels new. So if you've got a caravan or motorhome, perhaps the best place to start is to open the wardrobe door and read the stickers that are inside. And if it's been an NCC approved vehicle, which most of the manufacturers are, especially the UK ones, there's usually a sticker inside that says you have 230 volt mains electricity in this vehicle, and every 3 years we recommend that this is checked. It's not legal, but hey, you're driving your vehicle down the motorway, wouldn't you want the electrics checked properly? So in a service, we'll look at the appliances, we'll check they're running up okay and they're all operating correctly, and we'll check visually the cables that we can see. But hey, there's cables that run under the floor, in some vehicles up the walls, sometimes over the ceiling, and they're buried. You don't see them, they're inside. How do you know they're okay? How do you know somebody hasn't put a screw through something? How do you know something hasn't moved and now there's furniture resting on it and the furniture is rubbing against some flex and the flex eventually rubs through? So the only way you can do that is by doing it's called a PIR EICR check. Periodic inspection report, or electrical installation condition report. Depends who you speak to and how they're going to describe it. But basically, this is the outcome, if you like, but the process is to go through the mains electric system to make sure it is safe, fit for purpose, still operating correctly.
And this is about checking continuity of cables, insulation of cables where you can see them, but checking the cables with the right equipment where the cables are hidden.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep. So we'll be checking that insulation to make sure it works correctly, even if you can't see the cable itself. So we'll be putting a charge down there, and we'll be making sure that the insulation is safe and it hasn't broken down over time, which it is. It's going to be plastic or rubber, and materials fail after a period of time. So it's really important that they're still doing the insulation process.
Well, I remember we bought a house and it had rubberized cabling in the house, TRS it was called. And the live and neutrals were basically pretty much touching each other, where the insulation around the cable had crumbled away with age. And I'm amazed that houses don't have to have this test. And I admire the fact that you're doing this. It's currently for you an option, isn't it, to offer the customers to have this test? Is that fair?
AWS are really keen that we educate consumers. So we have this conversation with every single customer that drops off, and it takes some time, but we feel that the customer is then informed and the customer can make a choice whether it's something they would like to buy or not buy. It's about 3 hours work, so it's not cheap, but it's then peace of mind that you know it's okay. If you're going to take your children in the vehicle, your grandparents, your grandchildren, don't you want to know it's really safe and it's all up together? I think you should. So yeah, it's every 3 years, and 2 in 10 customers at the moment will say yes please. But we're offering it and then having a conversation about what does this mean, and I think a lot of people are not.
But for you as a service centre, your staff have had to go through electrical training, haven't they, to do this? That's a hassle for any service centre where, you know, there's more work to do, more costs. And I mean, I can understand why lots of places are not offering this service at all. 2 in 10 though, that's not very many, is it, at all? It's
not very many, but it's better than nothing.
Well, it's 2 more than there were.
And, you know, there's 2 vehicles in every 10 that are out there that are all okay. If you were buying a motorhome, wouldn't you want this in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would. Even if it was a private sale. Surely it's about education, isn't it? It's about do people understand this, and do they want to work on it themselves? Well, hopefully not. You wouldn't fiddle around with your mains electric at home, would you? So get a professional to look at it, get it checked out, make sure it's okay.
So Oakleigh, lots of people say, you see it on forums, you see it on social media, that I can do the habitation check myself. It's just checking drawer runners, checking cupboard catches. You know, I've seen what the engineers and technicians do. It's a waste of money. It's absolutely not about that, is it? It's so much more involved, isn't it?
the obvious answer is yes, but it's about skills. So it's all about training, having the right training, experience. So you've seen these vehicles before, you know what to look for, you know what the inherent issues are that you might want to just delve into a little bit further with a particular caravan or motorhome, and it's having the right equipment. Hopefully today you've seen a lot of equipment, and yes, some of it's like shiny nice things, but it means you can do the job properly, safely, in a relatively short time scale, because the customer's paying for time. So it's all about time is money. So if we have the right equipment, we can do the right job in a quick, efficient way.
Yeah. So we've seen an insight, and it is only an insight into what a habitation check is and what's involved. And it's a half-day exercise, isn't it? But why should you get one? It's fundamentally about peace of mind, isn't it?
It's about peace of mind, but then, why have a habitation check? And I think the key to it is it's an annual habitation check. And by using the word annual, you're building into your leisure time, your leisure journey, you're planning for the year, a moment where you can take a breath, take the vehicle, have it looked at by a professional, and in that way, at that moment in time, similar to an MOT on a car, at that moment in time, everything's good. Now, anything can happen after that moment in time, but at that time, you've had a professional person look at it, review it, check it, test things. I absolutely take on board that someone's going to say, oh, I'm paying for you to check my drawers and runners, and yes, but you're really paying for a professional to check your gas, your mains electric, your safety equipment in the vehicle, and the damp check.
And the thing is, that person's impartial, aren't they? And the owner can say, well, it always does that. It always flickers like that when I turn it on. That could be something going wrong. And every year we see stories of fridges in motorhomes or caravans catching fire, often at festivals where they're close to each other, they're parked close to each other, closer than they would be on a campsite, and that can destroy multiple vehicles and ultimately lives, can't it? So the importance of having this done, I can never stress enough. We've got Oakleigh's top tips.
A couple of top tips. So when we finish a service with somebody, we ask the customer to come in and we run through every line of the service sheet so that we've described and discussed with the customer what we do. And then we have a little chat about some of the other things that I think are maybe useful, important, and can help them in the future. So here are two tools that are very, very cheap. A standard household plug socket checker.
A must-have.
Maybe a £5, I don't know, that sort of money, and an adapter, because you're going to be using a 16 amp round pin plug socket on the post in the field. Or
for the hookup, this is,
yeah, it's your mains electric hookup, and we're going to use an adapter on the end so that we can use this as a tool. So my top tip is you take your tester, you plug it into your adapter, and then you go and plug this into the post in the field or at the club site. This particular tester, you're looking for 3 lights on. If you haven't got 3 lights, don't go up to the farmer and say, oi, your post's rubbish, because you're straight into conflict. So let's not do that. But maybe you could say, can you test my tester for me? And you just plug it in at the house or plug it in at the reception, and oh, it's working now. So now you know your tester's working, and maybe the site pitch is not quite correct. Don't ask them to repair it there and then while you wait, because you're on holiday and it's all a bit more stressful. Ask for another pitch, and in that way you've checked something, you know it's not quite right, and you're okay. If the post is good, I would suggest you plug your hookup cable, often orange, into the post, and then plug this into the end of the hookup cable.
And this is all before you've connected to the vehicle, isn't it?
You've got a really expensive vehicle. You've saved up for it. Why are you going to risk plugging some electric that you don't know how good that electric is into your lovely vehicle? Yeah. So test the post, test your cable by plugging this in.
I'd add in, plug this in the end of your cable and then plug the cable in the post.
Thank you. Yes, that's the correct way of doing it. Cables get driven over, they get abused. You're out for the day, you don't know what's happening to that cable. It's
Tripped over and pulled.
Who knows, eh? So check it every time. Then you know your cable's good, and then remove the tester. Put the cable into your vehicle. So now your vehicle is now connected to the post, and then go into the van and check your electric safe in the van. And in that way, you've checked all of those items, and you know you're good to go.
Love that. Very good top tip. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, we've got one on gas that we both love.
Okay.
This is never talked about. I'll let you show us.
Okay. So
let's go to the gas bottle. So this gas cupboard, if you can see in there, you can see the colour gas bottle inside. It's full of stuff, right? This is a no-no. This is really... Don't do this. It's so important you don't block the vents in the bottom of the cage or the cupboard, so any gas that escapes can leak out. Gas is heavier than air, and it needs to sink through the floor. But why shouldn't you fill the rest of the cupboard with stuff?
If there is an issue or an accident or something happening, you want no clutter. You want to be able to get in there and deal with it quite quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about ease of access to the bottles, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
There we are. Lesson today. Don't fill your gas cage or cupboard with the levelling ramps, hook-up cable. Just find another home for them. Really important.
The last top tip, and we often see customers open their gas bottle, arrived on site, open it all the way. You don't need to. You just need to crack the thread so that it's slightly open, and then just open it one turn. One turn's all you need. That will give you the feed through to all of your systems.
And opening it more doesn't increase the pressure. It's running at 30 millibars. Enough,
exactly. You've got a regulator, and that's what's going to give you your 30 millibar, so that's it.
But why, Oakleigh? Why?
Because if there was a problem and an issue, you can feel confident that you're going to open that, put your hand in, turn it off in just a couple of turns, seconds, and that gives you peace of mind rather than you're here trying to get this undone and do it up and can't get in there because it's full of stuff.
There we go. So top tip, one turn is all you need. Oakleigh, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day.
No, thank you.
To talk to us today about habitation checks and unpack a little bit more about what one is and what a great one looks like. I do admire the way you take it so seriously and the diligence that you apply to it, because I know how important they are. But hopefully for our viewers and listeners, you've been able to demonstrate that. Just tell me, what does one cost, a habitation check cost, from you guys here at Bristol Caravans?
So habitation service is under £250.
And of course, there's loads of other services you offer here as well. Just give us a quick rundown.
So we're a one-stop shop, so we like to position ourselves, whatever the problem is with your caravan or motorhome, we'd love to help you with it. For motorhomes in particular, we do engine chassis services, MOTs, the EICR that we talked about during the day, damp repairs, accessories, all sorts of things from solar panels through to self-levelling systems. Whatever the problem, get in touch. The website is bristolcaravans.com, and it starts with a conversation. You know, what's the problem? How can we help?
I am delighted to announce that just a week after filming this episode with Oakleigh, Bristol Caravans won Best Fixed Workshop at the NCC Approved Workshop Scheme Awards, held at the Caravan Camping and Motorhome Show in Birmingham. We caught up with Oakleigh on our stand at the show. And so it's great to see you at the show.
It's great to be at the stand.
Great, straight here from holiday in Lanzarote.
Oh, sunshine back to the NEC.
So you won an award and you weren't even here to receive it.
No. The team came up and said thank you on my behalf. So that was, and that's how it should be. You know, the team worked really hard. We try and get it right for the customer. We try really hard. The team works really hard behind the scenes. So it's only right that the guys came up and said thank you.
And what does it actually mean for you as a business then to win Best Workshop?
That's a good question. You know, what does that mean? I think, I said the team worked really hard, and it's the recognition of that. Really, it's the industry. We work in a great industry. The customers are lovely. The customers that buy from this industry are really nice people, and for us to be recognised out of all of those workshops that are out there is an amazing thing. Humbly, I don't want to say hurrah because I'm very British, but It's amazing, isn't it?
You should celebrate it,
I
Oakleigh.
know.
You're allowed.
I know. It's
You're
very
allowed.
hard.
So this was voted for by who?
So the AWS get together, and I think the management team sit down. They sit down with their assessors. They look at if you've got any non-conformances. You have an audit once a year. They look at that, and then they ask you to present some information. I think the key for us was our customer testimonials. We put them on the website. They're there for everyone to read, and I think that helped us get over the line.
Now, you're near us in Bristol, hence
Yes.
the name Bristol Caravans.
Yes.
Very creative. I have to say.
Southwest.
But you service motorhomes as well. That's worth mentioning, isn't
Yes. Caravans, motorhomes and campervans. I need to change the name of the business, don't I?
it? Make a long URL, long website.
Fine, we can
But
do
you
that.
have a campsite there. So if people want to travel to get a great habitation check done, we've been talking about what does great look like
Yes.
for a habitation check,
Yes.
haven't we? And if they can camp with you and stay with you, can't
Yes, we have CL sites through the Caravan Motorhome Club. So we've got gravel pitches, so we have people all year round with electric hookup, waste facilities, water. So everything you'd expect from a CL is there. We also have, I don't know if you've seen it, but we've got a woodland, 20-acre woodland where we do wild camping in tents. And in the summer we've got a pop-up field meadow that we use for camper vans, because we're so close to the wave in Bristol. The surfers, they all come and stay with us as well, so it's quite jolly.
they? And people can come and stay whether they want a service or not, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to have a service, but if you'd like one, it'd be really nice. But more importantly, it's when we're doing bigger jobs like lithium installs or levelling systems, then customers might stay. We'll get the vehicle back to them for a night, then the vehicle comes back into us the
Okay.
next day. So we can segment that, the workshop time.
Brilliant. Now just tell us, where do people find you online?
bristolcaravans.com.
There we are. Oakleigh, thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you.
No,
Congratulations
thank
again.
you.
No mean feat, because
What do we
honestly,
do next year? What have we got to do next year? It's like, oh no, how do you
Well-
follow it?
finish your holiday early and be
Yeah.
here to collect the award.
Thank you.
Have a good show. See you soon.
All right, bye-bye for now.
So there you have it. That's a little insight into what's involved in a habitation check, but more importantly, why you would bother having one. I think it's about educating yourself on the equipment being used, the expertise being put to play, and the knowledge that the engineer has that's going to do your habitation check. Sure, you could do one yourself. How comprehensive is it going to be? You could pay a mobile engineer to do one, and there are people out there doing them for 80 quid. You could do that as well. You could come to a place like Bristol Caravans, who I think are absolute gold performers, who sure charge more money, less than £250. But for the peace of mind, knowing that your gas, electric, and all of the systems in the motorhome are safe, performing correctly, surely I think that's worth every penny. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.